Alright, so I finished my 23 Infinity Saga film rankings. And you guys have seen it, hopefully, maybe by now. If not, link in the description down below. Please go check it out and support the channel. It would mean the world to me. But I got to thinking, what are some other videos, and maybe not the more conventional type of videos, that I could do based on the Infinity Saga? Since, we're kind of still celebrating the Infinity Saga. And when I got down to it, I thought, well, I have been rewatching these films, and so I thought, why not rank these films based on how well I think they fare on a second watch? And so, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all 23 MCU films. It's going to be a little bit shorter than the initial ranking, but I'm going to be discussing pretty briefly each film and how I think they rank in terms of rewatchability. Now keep in mind that this is a purely subjective ranking, and a little bit even more so than my previous normal 23 ranking video. And that's just because I look at things differently, and I want different things out of a film in a rewatch than maybe you do. Maybe you want to see more action, or more drama, or you just want to see comedy, whatever it may be. For me, I personally have different opinions than you, and so our lists are going to be different. This is purely subjective. Just to let you guys know, I'm not going to go over these films in depth. I may not go over each film individually. I may just go over some key highlights and things, but I will give you guys my full list. And so here we go. 21, 22, and 23 remain the same. They are, in that order respectively, Thor: The Dark World, Thor, and The Incredible Hulk. Now, the reasoning for this is pretty simple. If I don't think a film is good, I don't really want to rewatch it, right? I think the same would go for you guys. If you guys don't think a film is very good, well, what's the incentive to rewatch it? So, those three films remain at the bottom. Now, the next two films at 19 and 20 respectively are Captain America: The First Avenger and Captain Marvel. You may remember from my original 23 films rankings that I put Captain Marvel above Captain America: The First Avenger because I thought Captain Marvel's twist was a little bit better, and I thought it was really, really, really well done. However, in terms of a rewatch, although I think both of these films are very origin filmy and are kind of generic and formulaic, although I love Steve Rogers and I love his story, I do think that that twist, while it was great in concept and in execution, doesn't necessarily make Captain Marvel more rewatchable. And for that, I would give the edge to Captain America: The First Avenger, which overall I think is a more enjoyable watch if you keep on watching it. Again, I think Endgame has soured a lot of us on Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, and for that reason, it may be just harder to watch her film. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. So, 19 and 20. Now, 16, 17, and 18, I have the Iron Man trilogy, but maybe not in the order that you might think. Now, starting from the bottom, I have Iron Man 2, then Iron Man, and then Iron Man 3 at number 16. I genuinely think that Iron Man 3 has some of the best scenes in the entire MCU, and for that reason alone, I just want to rewatch the film. I think the opening is great, and actually on this rewatch, I didn't think the villain was that bad. I didn't think the ending was that bad, and I also think the Malibu Mansion attack scene and just some of the action in this film is genius. It is great, and the music really accompanies those scenes. Now, the reason that Iron Man is a little lower is just because, well, the third act. Yeah. And you may be wondering, why is Iron Man 2 so high on the list, relatively speaking? And the reason is because it is a hot mess, yes, but it is a fun hot mess, in my opinion. Because, honestly, Robert Downey Jr. carries this entire film. And anything that he does, no matter how bad it is bound to be at least fun. I mean, Doolittle notwithstanding, I suppose. Anyways, yeah, Iron Man 2 is a disaster, in my opinion. But, in my eyes, it is still so fun to watch. Just watching Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. do his thing. So, 16 through 18, the Iron Man trilogy. 15 is Age of Ultron, which again, like I mentioned before, is Avengers Light. So I rarely feel the need to rewatch this movie again. If I want to rewatch some specific parts of the movie, like the party scene, the Hulk v. Hulkbuster, I can just go on YouTube. Like, the movie as a whole, it's not the most complete package. Number 14, though, might upset a lot of you guys, and it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, before any of you guys click off the video, let me give you an analogy to help better illustrate what I mean by this. So, a film that I love to death is called Logan, the X-Men film. I love Logan so much. I think it's one of the best films and the best superhero film, maybe one of the best superhero films ever made. However, I am not going to be inclined to rewatch Logan, because Logan is a dark film. It is a heavy film. It weighs on you. It is not a film you were going to pop into your DVD player. Does anyone still have DVD players? Anyways, it is not a film you were going to just, sit down and rewatch because it's fun. It's not fun, but it is still one of my favorite movies. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is an amazing movie, and I ranked it at number 8 out of 23. 23 mostly really good films. But it just doesn't have that it factor for me, that thing that makes me want to return and watch it over and over and over and over again. I love the film, I really do, but it just doesn't have that thing. That thing that makes me want to go, yeah, I want to see that scene and that storyline again, because honestly, it flows super well, but it just doesn't have that extra 10%, like I've mentioned in my reviews before. So, Winter Soldier at 14, I just lost everybody, but that's okay. 13 is Doctor Strange. The reason that it's so high up is because even though it's an origin story and it's sort of generic in some ways, it is also visually stunning. I can never get tired of looking at this film at a visual level. I think there is just so much heart and effort put into this film. And on top of that, the film itself is not bad. I mean, Caecilius, I don't know what happened there. But anyways, the rest of the film, the Ancient One, Mordo, Strange, even Christine, I love these characters. I think just, again, the visual style and the ending with Dormammu seal the deal for me. It's a really fun watch every time I see this movie. 11 and 12 are Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers, respectively. Now, The Avengers is The Avengers. It's a great movie, some great action, great character moments, an awesome villain, and I'm going to put it here. But the reason I put Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit above it is simply for one reason and one reason alone. Comedy. I value humor and comedy a lot when I come and look at rewatch value, because a film that is able to maintain its humor and its comedic value is gold when it comes to rewatchability. And for the most part, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy is still super funny every time I see the film. That scene where they're breaking out of prison and Groot is trying to get the battery out prematurely while Rocket is explaining the plan, that still gets me every time. I think this film is brilliantly written. So for that reason, Guardians is going to be a little bit higher than the Avengers. Both really good rewatches. Coming in at number 10 is Black Panther. Now, again, I understand that Chadwick Boseman's passing may have an impact on how rewatchable this film is for some people, because it may add additional burdens and just emotions when rewatching this film. And for me, I can certainly say that this is probably the case. However, I did make this list before hearing about his passing. This video has been in the works for a long time. And so this ranking, I guess, Black Panther being number 10, didn't really have a huge impact, or was not impacted hugely by Chadwick Boseman's passing. That being said, I can understand why this would fall a lot, because it's just going to be a harder film to watch based on his death and passing. Anyways, Black Panther as a film is enjoyable, but it also deals with some really, really heavy emotional messages. And for that, I'm going to put it at number 10. It's a really fun watch, got some great action, but it also deals with some really, really heavy subject material. And also, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. All right, 7 through 9 respectively, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and Ant-Man. As you guys know, I love the Ant-Man films. I really do. And I think Paul Rudd is amazing. So I think Ant-Man is great. It's really funny upon rewatch, and I think Ant-Man and the Wasp does everything that Ant-Man does, and maybe a little bit better in my opinion. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 sandwiches in between there, because again, I think it does everything that Guardians does right, and just a little bit better. It's more funny. It's absurd. Like, all the jokes and the humor is just exploded by 10. And for better or for worse, I think it's funnier at least, so it's more entertaining. And also you got Baby Groot. Like, baby Groot. Enough said. Coming in at number 6 is Spider-Man Homecoming. You guys know, I love Spider-Man, I love Peter Parker. I think almost every single second of this movie is enjoyable. This film is funny, it is endearing, it is heartwarming, it has a genuinely good twist that gets you every time, even though you know it's coming, because you're just involved with Peter Parker, you're invested, and so you ride the highs and lows, and by the time the door opens and Michael Keaton opens it, you're like, oh, that happened. So yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming, number 6. Number 5, Civil War. The airport battle. Do I have to say any more? Okay, fine. On top of the airport battle, an amazing movie. Do I now have to say any more? Number 3 and number 4 are Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, respectively. Avengers Endgame is amazing, and you guys know, the last hour of that movie is some of the most rewatchable MCU content they have ever put out. That being said, this film is 3 hours long. It takes some dedication to get through this film. And I'm going to say this right now, if you guys have seen my Endgame review, you know, there are parts of Endgame I do not like. I have to sit through, in order to get to the portal scene, I have to sit through Thor and Hulk. You guys know I have problems with them. I mean, granted, I would of course gladly watch those arcs and those scenes just to get to the portal scene, but I have to say it, 3 hours is dedication. However, Infinity War is one lower because it is a dark film. This film does take a toll on you as well. It is a film that takes emotional investment in these characters, and guys, the ending is emotionally devastating. It really is a hard one to see. So, while Avengers Endgame may have the payoff, Avengers Infinity War does have the dark ending. However, the first 2/3 of Infinity War are very breezy, very light, very motivated, driven. You love these character interactions, and I mean, come on. You love Thor with the Guardians, right? It's just so great to see them together. It's just the ending is dark, and it's heavy, and it just takes some time to really build into that. Number 2, Spider-Man Far From Home. This may be a little controversial as well, but I'm going to stand by this. After I saw Spider-Man Far From Home, I loved the film. Not just because of the film itself, which I really love, but also because of how light and breezy this is. This is one of the films, along with the number 1 pick, which you guys already know, that I can just loop over and over and over and over again. And if that isn't the definition of rewatchability, then I honestly don't know what is. And speaking of that, number 1, Thor Ragnarok. This film is crazy. This film is funny. This film is inventive, and at certain points, it is heartwarming, but just enough and just the right amount, just enough to be, still Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi, he invented a movie, he created a movie that I can literally watch over and over and over and over and over again and probably never get tired of. So those are my rankings of the 23 MCU films based on rewatchability. I know that was kind of quick, but I didn't want to really rehash things that I've said in my original 23 rankings, which again, link in the description down below. So, what are your top 5 MCU films based on rewatchability? Which MCU films would you take to a desert island so that you'd have to rewatch them over and over and over again? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're at it, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a like to support the channel. If you guys want to see some more videos, check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.